discover the incredible journey of the real Ragnar Lothbrok, 5 life-changing lessons revealed. Jake Anderson buried his face in the dust and grease that blanketed his family's repair shop, desperately trying to keep afloat. The townspeople judged him, seeing only a mechanic from a humble background, but what lay beneath the surface was a heart full of dreams. One dreary afternoon, Jake stumbled upon an old box tucked in the corner of the shop. Inside were family heirlooms, each item whispering stories of ancestors long gone. Among them, a tattered book detailed the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok, a figure of bravery and valor whose spirit ignited a spark in Jake. This discovery felt like destiny. As he read about Ragnar's fierce loyalty and unwavering courage, Jake imagined embodying those qualities. But when he glanced around his repair shop, a crumbling relic of what once was the enormity of the task ahead weighed heavily on him. He could scarcely keep his father's legacy alive, let alone embrace the warrior spirit of a Viking king. Economic hardships loomed over him like dark clouds, and the response from local investors when he pitched ideas for growth was always the same: dismissive looks masked behind polite smiles. Compounding his struggles, the arrival of his estranged brother Mark sent ripples of tension through his life. Years of unspoken resentments and painful memories hung between them like a thick fog. Jake felt an ache in his chest as they confronted their shared past, but hope flickered. Could they rebuild what had been broken? The shop was failing, their relationship was frayed, and now there was an urgency to mend both. And then came the storm. The sky darkened, and a fierce wind swept through the town, upending lives with its wrath. Trees toppled, roofs collapsed, and in the blink of an eye, chaos reigned. Jake felt a tightening in his chest, fear mixed with determination as he quickly mobilized neighbors to help. No longer just a mechanic, he became a beacon of hope. As they worked together, the community drew closer, recognizing Jake's determination and strength. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Shoulder to shoulder with Mark, Jake felt an unfamiliar warmth kindle between them. Each nail hammered, every piece of wood cut, became a stitch sewn into the fabric of their brotherhood. As they faced each challenge together, the weight of their history began to lift, revealing space for healing. Old wounds festered but slowly, painfully, began to close. But the storm may have passed, yet shadows still lurked beneath the surface of their lineage. Hidden truths seemed to flicker into view, threatening to unravel everything Jake had worked so hard to rebuild. Even in moments of hope and camaraderie, uncertainty loomed large. Standing amidst the debris of their lives, Jake wondered, would the ghosts of their past allow him to step into the light as the man he hoped to be? Or would they pull him under again? The journey was far from over, the answers lay just beyond the horizon, waiting to be discovered. As the dust settled from the storm, Jake surveyed the destruction around him. The repair shop had taken a beating, but it still stood, a testament to resilience. With the flickering light of hope, Jake glanced at Mark, who was now more than just a brother. He was a partner in rebuilding not only the shop but their relationship too. "Let's get to work," Jake said, determination seeping into his voice. Mark nodded, a small smile breaking through the remnants of his usual guarded demeanor. Together, they began clearing away the debris. The air was thick with the scent of wet timber and fresh commitment. As they toiled, neighbors emerged, offering their hands and tools. The town rallied around them, bringing food and encouragement. With every laugh and shared story, the weight of their past seemed lighter. It felt like a fresh start, one that Jake had longed for, one reminiscent of the camaraderie discussed in the tales of Ragnar. But amidst the rebuilding, something hidden pulled at Jake's mind. Only days after the storm had passed, he couldn't shake the feeling that the old box in the corner of the shop wasn't just filled with memories, it might also hold answers. One evening, when the last of the sunlight trickled through the shop's grimy windows, Jake returned to the box, curiosity piqued. He rifled through the heirlooms again, his fingertips tracing the contours of the past. Finally, he found a small, ornate key, its design intricate and foreign. Confusion bubbled up inside him. What could it unlock? The moment felt significant, a gasp of possibility in his heart. "Hey, Mark. Come check this out," Jake called out, his voice echoing in the quiet of the shop. Mark joined him, interest sparkling in his eyes. "What you found?" he asked, leaning over Jake's shoulder to examine the key. "I don't know yet," Jake replied, peering at the tattered book. Each page turned was a step closer to unraveling a family mystery. "But it feels important." "Important how?" Mark pressed, crossing his arms. "Maybe it unlocks something in this shop or in our lives," Jake whispered, the gravity of his own words settling in. They exchanged a knowing glance, understanding that searching for answers could take them deeper into the story of their family, a journey they hadn't prepared for. "Let's find out," Mark suggested, his tone more resolute than Jake had ever heard before. The prospect of unlocking hidden truths offered a thrill, but beneath it lay a current of fear. What if they uncovered things that could shatter the fragile progress they had made? The thought gnawed at Jake's stomach, yet the yearning for resolution, a desire to understand his lineage, overrode the hesitation. They began their search, shifting aside boxes and tools, uncovering a forgotten attic above the shop. With every creak of the wooden stairs, Jake's heart raced. What secrets awaited them in the dark? As the chill of the night crept in, the brothers stood poised at the entrance of the attic. A jumble of old trunks lay scattered about, dust swirling like ghosts in the air. Jake held the key tightly in his palm, the metal cool against his skin. Would it be the key to unlocking the past? Would the stories they uncovered bind them closer together, or threaten to tear them apart once more? Jake took a deep breath, their journey just beginning, filled with promise and the unknown. What would they discover as they ventured into that darkness? Jake shifted his weight, glancing sideways at Mark, who stood stiffly beside him. The faint light from their work lantern flickered, casting dancing shadows around the attic's wooden beams. It felt like stepping into a different world, one where whispers of their ancestors lingered in the dust mote swirling in the air. "Are you ready?" Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah." "Let's see what's up there," Jake replied, his pulse quickening. They clambered up the creaking stairs, the wooden steps groaning as if carrying the weight of their curiosity. The attic was a forgotten realm, cluttered but somehow inviting. Boxes piled high, trunks battered with age, each holding stories waiting to be told. Jake spotted an old trunk, its leather worn but the latch still sturdy. It called to him, a siren song of possibility. "What do you think is in there?" he wondered out loud, pulling Mark closer. "Only one way to find out," Mark stated, his own excitement bubbling beneath the surface. With the key clutched tightly in his hand, Jake approached the trunk, his heart pounding. He felt the cold metal fit snugly into the lock, and with a gentle twist, it clicked open. The smell of aged wood and old paper wafted out, filling their senses. Jake lifted the lid slowly, revealing a trove of faded photographs, yellowed letters, and intricate maps. They were snapshots of lives once lived, dreams once dreamed. The letters were filled with beautiful, scrawled handwriting, each one a fragment of history that felt personal yet distant. "Look at this one," Mark said, picking up a photograph. It was a picture of two young men standing by a river, laughter frozen in time on their faces. Jake squinted at the bottom of the photo. Ragnar was scrawled in ink. Could this really be? Jake's voice trailed off, a wave of connection washing over him. Mark nodded slowly, his eyes twinkling with interest. "What if this is part of that story?" "Our story?" Mark suggested, glancing back at the letters. "They might tell us who Ragnar really was." Jake felt a rush of energy. What had always been a mythical figure from tales now felt closer, more tangible. Each artifact in the trunk had the potential to reveal more than just history. They could shine a light on who they were as brothers, and what had driven their family apart. As they flipped through the papers, Jake pointed to one letter that caught his attention. "This one mentions a treasure. Look at this place." His finger traced a circle on a faded map. "It looks like it leads to something. Something more than memories?" Mark leaned closer, his voice steady and curious. "Jake, what if this leads to something we've been missing?" The air thickened as they processed the possible implications. Could there actually be hidden treasures connected to their family history? Were they about to uncover things that would shatter or solidify their bond? Before Jake could answer, a loud creak echoed from the floor beneath them. They froze, hearts racing. Suddenly, the attic door swung open, and a shadow appeared in the doorway, silhouetted against the dim light below. Jake! Mark! What are you doing up there? It was their neighbor, old Mr. Peterson, his voice filled with concern. With the intrusion, the intensity in the air shifted, and the treasure within the trunk felt vulnerable once again. We're just exploring. Jake called down, a mixture of excitement and fear flaring within him. Don't stay up there too long. You know the roof isn't safe, Mr. Peterson warned, his brow furrowed. As the door creaked shut, Jake and Mark exchanged glances. They had opened a door to the past, one that could lead to significant truths but also danger. Should we keep going? Mark asked, the same fire ignited in his eyes. Yeah, we have to. We can't leave it like this, Jake responded, feeling that pull stronger than ever. They returned to the trunk eagerly, but this time with a tinge of trepidation. What would unlocking these stories do to them? Would it lead to the truth they sought, or stir up old wounds? Jake took a steadying breath, ready to delve back into the past. Let us find out what Ragnar has in store for us. And as they began to sift through their family's hidden legacies, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this journey could either meld their lives anew or push them apart forever. What other secrets lay in those pages that could change everything? The air hung thick with unspoken tension as Jake and Mark leaned closer to the trunk. Their fingers grazed over the letters, each one a key to realms of their family's past they had never known. As Jake opened another letter, his eyes widened. Look at this, he said, almost breathless. The letter was dated many years ago and addressed to someone named Ethel. This could be our great-grandmother, Jake murmured, a sense of reverence filling his voice. The letter detailed a journey taken by Ragnar, spoken of in awed tones filled with hope and anticipation. It spoke of a quest for treasure, not just of material wealth, but of something deeper, something that could restore their family's honor. Mark leaned in even closer, enthralled. This is incredible. It's like a treasure map wrapped in family history. He pointed to a passage that described a hidden valley, lush and untouched. Jake, if this place still exists, we have to find it. A sudden chill drifted through the attic, and Jake could almost hear the whispers of forgotten souls urging them onward. Imagine what this could mean, he said, eyes sparkling with the allure of adventure. What if we're meant to bring this legacy back to life? The excitement was palpable, yet an underlying fear lingered. Thoughts of what they might disrupt or uncover swirled in Jake's mind. Was uncovering their family's past truly worth it? Would it bring them closer, or would the fissures already present in their relationship widen? Mark abruptly stood, determination etched on his face. We have to find out where this valley is. If there's any truth to this letter, we can't just ignore it. It's our family's story, and it's our chance to reconnect. Jake nodded, the weight of Mark's words settling in his chest like a leaden stone. Okay, but we need to be careful. We don't know what we're getting into. They dug back into the trunk, flipping through photographs and maps. With each piece of paper, the life of Ragnar began to unfold before their eyes. A series of adventures, struggles, and moments of profound joy depicted a man who had faced great challenges. Someone who had once seemed mythic was now becoming real. Here, look! Jake exclaimed, waving a faded map that had an X marked in a corner. This must be where the valley is. It's not far from where we live. Mark's enthusiasm was contagious, and for a moment, the weight of their past struggles fell away. Jake, we can't just talk about this. We need to go there. Now. Today? The idea sent a rush of excitement coursing through them. The attic, now dim and dusty, felt less like a graveyard of the past and more like a portal to the future. They weren't just two brothers lost in a maze of memories. They were adventurers ready to carve out their own destiny, but as they eagerly packed their findings, maps, letters, photographs, Jake's heart raced with something else, too. What if their journey led them to truths they weren't ready to face? What if Ragnar's legacy was tangled with pain and secrets best left buried? A sudden thud echoed from downstairs, startling them both. They exchanged worried glances. "Did you hear that?" Mark asked, his excitement fading slightly. "Yeah." It came from the living room. Against his better judgment, Jake felt a strong pull to investigate, a nagging feeling that something was waiting for them beyond the attic door. As he cautiously made his way toward the staircase, Mark followed closely behind, curiosity now laced with anxiety. Could the noise be a sign they weren't alone? Were they about to stumble upon something that might alter the course of their journey? Jake peered cautiously down the stairs, every instinct telling him to proceed with caution. What awaited them in the shadows below? Would they find a clue about Ragnar or perhaps face a more frightening reality? With every step, the unknown loomed closer. Would this new discovery bind them together or tear them apart? Just then, a figure emerged from the darkness below, their face obscured. The world felt like it had paused, and Jake's breath caught in his throat. Who was it? What were they about to face? And as the figure stepped fully into the light, Jake realized the adventure was only beginning. Jake's heart raced as the figure stepped into the hallway light. It was an older man, his face weathered and lined, eyes twinkling with stories that likely spanned generations. "What are you boys doing here?" he asked, his voice gravelly yet warm, like autumn leaves crunching underfoot. Mark swallowed. "We found letters in the attic. They're about our ancestor, Ragnar. We think he might be gone to a hidden valley." The elderly man raised an eyebrow, an amused smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Ragnar, you say?" He was quite the wanderer. A legend in our family, if you believe the tales. Jake stepped forward, compelled by curiosity. "Do you know him? Do you know where this valley is?" The man crossed his arms, studying them carefully, weighing the urgency in their eyes. "Names have power, you know. To seek out Ragnar's hidden valley is a quest, but it's not just about treasure. It's about understanding who you are and what your family has faced. Are you ready for that?" Jake's chest tightened. Was he ready? Their family's history had been marked by silence and distance for too long. The idea of unearthing secrets was both thrilling and terrifying. "We are, I think." The man's expression softened as he nodded. "Then listen closely, boys. The valley is not far, but it's protected by more than just thick trees and winding paths. You'll face trials that will test your bond, your values, and your understanding of yourselves. Are you prepared for the journey?" Mark nudged Jake slightly, his excitement bubbling back. "We've made it this far. We can handle it." "Very well," the man replied, motioning for them to follow. "But I'll come with you. I have my own reasons for returning to that valley." As they made their way through the house, Jake felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The walls held echoes of laughter and harsh words, memories that seemed to shift shadows in response to their approach. Would this stranger shed light on some of those memories? They stepped outside, the sun beaming down, cutting through the layers of uncertainty. The elderly man began walking, his pace steady, the boys trailing behind. "The journey will take a full day, we must be prepared for the elements. If you have doubts about your family, about yourselves, now is the time to voice them." Jake traded glances with Mark. What was waiting for them out there? Would the journey lead to clarity or confusion? I worry," Jake finally admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "What if we find something we can't handle? Or something that changes everything," Mark added, his voice firm. "What if we finally understand who we are?" The older man turned back, eyes shimmering with wisdom. "Truth can be painful. It can also be liberating. History isn't just in the past, it lives within you. You'll need each other more than ever. Hold tight to your brotherhood, for it'll be tested." As they continued down the familiar road that led to the forest, Jake couldn't shake the unease settling deep in his chest. There was something looming out there, something they were dangerously close to unearthing. Finally, they reached the edge of the dense trees, shadows twisting and shifting like restless spirits. The entrance to the valley awaited, a heavy blanket of mystery clinging to it. With a deep breath, Jake stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Would they uncover the truth about Ragnar, or would they uncover something far more personal, a truth that might shake the foundations of their lives? As they plunged into the tree line, a low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, a stark reminder of the storms they would face along the way. The valley beckoned them into its depths, promising answers but also dangers. Jake clenched his fists, heart racing. What would they find? Would their bond as brothers be strong enough to withstand the weight of the past? This was only the beginning. The air grew heavy as they crossed the threshold into the forest. Shadows danced around them, the trees standing tall like guardians of ancient secrets. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. Was it excitement, fear, or both? Each step brought them deeper into the unknown, and he felt the weight of expectation. The older man moved with confidence, his long strides cutting through the underbrush. "Stay close," he said, his voice steady despite the growing darkness. "Stay together, and don't stray from the path." Mark, practically bouncing on his toes, turned to Jake. "This is it. We're really doing this." His enthusiasm was infectious, but Jake couldn't shake the nagging doubts. What if they found more than they bargained for? What if Ragnar's legacy included pain and shadows they weren't ready to confront? As they ventured further, the trees seemed to close in, their branches creating a canopy that dimmed the light. Time felt suspended here. Jake caught sight of a small clearing up ahead and stopped, his breath hitching in his throat. The atmosphere changed as they entered it. The wind whispered low, and the ground felt different, alive, almost electric. "What is this place?" Jake asked, glancing at the man, who paused to take it in. "This is a moment of quiet before the storm," he replied, looking contemplative. "Here, many face the echoes of their past. If you listen closely, you may hear hints of Ragnar's journey." Jake felt his spine tingle. The thought of their ancestor's presence wrapped around him, almost comforting in the chaotic unknown. He closed his eyes and let the breeze wash over him. For a fleeting second, he could almost feel Ragnar's spirit guiding him, urging him to push forward. "Do you hear that?" Mark whispered, tilting his head as if trying to catch a fleeting sound. Jake strained his ears, focusing. It was faint, a murmur echoing through the trees like someone was calling out. "What is it?" The older man's eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and nostalgia. "It's the call of your ancestors. They want you to remember who you are." Each whisper holds a piece of their history, their struggles, their triumphs. "Can you really hear them?" Mark asked, his excitement building again. Jake nodded, almost entranced. "It's like they're right there." "Let the valley reveal its truth," the man encouraged, sounding more mysterious than ever. "But remember, knowledge comes with a price." A shiver ran down Jake's spine at the weight of the words. He tightened his grip around his backpack, feeling the letters crumple against his fingers. They had come here to learn about Ragnar, but what if they stumbled into something darker, secrets that would unravel their understanding of their own family history? Suddenly, a crack of lightning slashed the sky, pulling them out of their thoughts. The sudden brightness illuminated everything for just an instant. In that flicker, Jake caught a glimpse of a symbol carved into one of the nearby trees, a familiar design from the letters they'd found. The realization struck him hard. That's it. This must be connected to him. Mark stepped closer, studying it with intense curiosity. "What if we follow this? It might lead us to something important." The older man frowned slightly, concern etching his brow. "Be cautious, not everything that glitters is gold. The truth can be as brutal as it is beautiful." Jake's heart raced. With every step into the valley, he felt the weight of potential discoveries, both exhilarating and fearsome. Would they uncover Ragnar's legacy, a path of honor and bravery, or would they face a far darker truth that shattered their perceptions of family and sacrifice? As they shifted forward, the storm clouds churned ominously above, matching the chaos growing in Jake's heart. What awaited them on this journey? Would the family bond hold, or were they stepping into the very heart of darkness? The valley seemed to whisper its secrets, ready to reveal all. But at what cost? The breeze carried a chill now, biting into their skin as they stood, eyes glued to the carved symbol. The lightning had come and gone, but the air still crackled with energy, heightening Jake's senses. He felt exposed, as if the forest was alive and aware of their presence. "Let us go," Mark said, his voice barely above a whisper, an eager glint in his eyes that made Jake's pulse quicken. They edged closer to the tree, the ancient engraving pulsing in the dimming light. It felt oddly intimate, as if the symbol was calling to them, pulling at something deep within their family roots, but as they reached the trunk, the rhythm of their excitement faltered. Was it nerves or intuition that made Jake hesitate? "Do you think this could be dangerous?" he asked, glancing at the man for guidance. "Dangerous or enlightening," the older man replied, folding his arms and leaning against the rough bark. "Sometimes those are the same thing. Knowledge can cut deeper than any blade." The weight of his words hung over them, and Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He glanced at Mark, whose face radiated excitement mixed with the reflective awe of what lay ahead. "We need to do this," Mark urged, eyes sparkling. "For Ragnar." Taking a deep breath, Jake let the moment settle before reaching out to touch the carving. The wood was rough against his fingertips, textured like an old map of some forgotten territory. He traced the lines, letting the energy seep into him, a connection forged across time and generations. Suddenly, the air shifted and the clearing around them felt more alive. Leaves rustled, and whispers echoed through the woods, almost too faint to decipher but loud enough to send shivers down their spines. "Did you hear that?" Mark asked, eyes wide. "It's just the wind," Jake muttered, uncertain. But deep down, he sensed it was more a secret flock of voices yearning to be heard. He exchanged a look with the older man, who nodded subtly, urging him to trust his instincts. With one last glance at the faint glow of the symbol, they stepped away from the tree and began to follow a narrow path that wound deeper into the forest, its edges tangled with shadows. Tension prickled at the back of Jake's neck. Each step echoed in his heart, a steady reminder that this journey overlaid something profound. Teetering on the edge of revelation, the trees loomed close, their gnarled branches twisting overhead like fingers clasped in torment. "What if the truth about Ragnar isn't what we want it to be?" Jake whispered, fears bubbling over at the thought. Mark turned, concern etched in his features. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together. This is family, Jake. We can't back down now." The older man remained silent behind them, his presence grounding yet foreboding. Jake could feel the weight of his unspoken thoughts, an anchor in the storm brewing in his heart. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was about uncovering the essence of who they were, a legacy of resilience intertwined with uncertainty. As they pushed on, the forest around them dimmed, and the sound of thunder rolled again, deeper this time, like a bell tolling in the distance. The shadows seemed to thicken, morphing into shapes that danced just beyond sight. Jake swallowed hard. The feeling of being watched prickled his skin, then, with a sudden shudder, the ground beneath them shifted. A tremor rippled through the earth, sending loose stones tumbling down the path before them. "What the hell was that?" Mark gasped, eyes wide as he moved closer to Jake. Before they could react, a thick fog rolled in, enveloping them. It swirled and curled, seemingly alive, wrapping around their bodies like a cold embrace. "Stay together!" the older man shouted, his voice cutting through the haze. Jake's heart raced with dread. The whispers intensified, filling the air with an urgency that screamed for them to listen. Were they still in search of Ragnar, or had they crossed into a world that was never meant to be uncovered? As they stood there, breathless and shocked, the fog began to thin. Just beyond, a shadowy figure took form in the distance. And with that, Jake's heart dropped. "Is that Ragnar?" Mark finished for him, hope and fear intermingling in his voice. For a moment, the forest held its breath. What awaited them in that fog? Would they find their family's heritage, or was there a truth lurking that would forever change their view of the past? In the stillness of the clearing, with thoughts racing and hearts pounding, one piercing question lingered. Were they prepared to confront not just the past, but the weight of their own realities? The figure in the fog began to sharpen, revealing itself as a man with long, unkempt hair and fierce blue eyes that glinted with otherworldly wisdom. The shape radiated strength yet bore the weight of untold stories, as if he had walked the earth long before them. "Ragnar," Mark breathed, the name tumbling from his lips like an invocation. "Stay back," Jake urged, instinct calling him to protect them both, heart racing with the pull of ancestral power. The older man stepped forward, suddenly aglow with a fierce intensity that surprised Jake. "No, Jake. This is our chance." "Is it, though?" Jake protested, uncertain. What if this wasn't a reunion but a reckoning? They were looking for answers, but what if they were about to awaken something better left sleeping? But Mark surged ahead, his curiosity breaking the tension. "Are you truly him?" he asked, voice trembling yet fierce. Ragnar turned his penetrating gaze onto Mark. "I am what you seek," his voice resonated, rich and commanding, echoing through the forest like a thunderclap. The fog twitched around him, and the air hummed with expectation. "My legacy haunts these woods. Your blood flows from mine, and it carries the weight of stories untold." Jake's heart pounded. "What do you mean? What have we inherited?" The past swirled around them like a rushing river, each word from Ragnar's mouth summoning memories that felt both familiar and foreign. "Your quest is one of discovery, but like the finest steel, truth is forged in fire," he declared. The ancient figure took a step closer, his presence radiating not just strength but a sense of caution. "You seek knowledge, but heed well, knowledge can shatter as easily as it can enlighten. Are you ready to bear the burdens of your ancestry?" Mark's eyes sparkled with a blend of admiration and dread, an invitation pulled taut. "We have to be. We are family, and we face everything together." Ragnar nodded, his expression fierce, as if he recognized the flame of courage in Mark. "Then listen carefully. The past is a cycle that reverberates into the present. The stories of our people intertwine with the earth, they live and breathe among these trees." Jake's mind raced with the implications. "What do we need to do?" "Follow me, descendants of Ragnar," he said, gesturing into the deeper forest. "Let the whispers lead you, but tread lightly, for truth can unearth both slumbering demons and illuminating spirits. Trust your blood, but more importantly, trust one another." They exchanged glances, weighing the enormity of the moment. Every nerve in Jake's body screamed to flee, yet part of him itched with curiosity, desire to uncover the layers embedded within their legacy. As Ragnar turned and beckoned them deeper into the woods, thick with secrets and shadows, his silhouette flickered between realms. The mist swirled once more, and for a heartbeat, Jake felt something stir beneath his skin, an ancient call binding him to this moment, to his lineage. "Come on," Mark urged, enthusiasm surging through him as he stepped forward. "This is it, Jake." Jake hesitated, gazing into the shifting fog. Was he truly ready to unravel the truth, no matter what it might bring? The urgency in Mark's voice propelled him forward, hoping their family bond would withstand whatever shadows lay ahead. With one final glance back at the symbol on the tree they had touched, he plunged into the fog. They followed Ragnar, the air thick with foreboding whispers and an excitement tinged with fear. As they walked, the branches above intertwined like destinies would, whispering secrets of long-forgotten souls. Yet a chilling thought crept in. Was this merely an exploration of the past, or would they be forever altered by what they discovered about their bloodline? Deeper still, the fog spiraled around them, and Jake could feel the heartbeat of the forest thrumming in his ears. Little did he know this journey would unearth not just the legacy of Ragnar, but something profound lurking within each of them. What truths awaited them at the heart of the forest? And would they embrace the shadows along with the light? The deeper they ventured into the swirling fog, the more Jake felt the world around them pulsate with life. The trees, with their gnarled limbs twisted like ancient hands, seemed to reach out as if trying to tell their own stories. A cool breeze brushed against Jake's skin, leaving goosebumps in its wake, and he caught a faint whisper that felt almost like a warning. The air was thick with uncertainty, yet he could feel the warmth of courage radiating from Mark. "Ragnar, what lies ahead?" Jake asked, an unsettling twist in his stomach. He wanted direction, a map for the treacherous journey they were on. "Only the truth of your lineage awaits," Ragnar replied, his voice echoing in the stillness. "But be prepared. The roots of your family tree are entwined with both light and darkness. What you unearth may change you." The trio stepped into a clearing, a space untouched by the fog where the moonlight poured down like silver rain. It illuminated the ground, revealing symbols carved into the earth, patterns that resonated with an almost magnetic energy. Jake felt an overwhelming urge to kneel and touch them, to connect with whatever history lay there. What are these? Mark breathed, urgency creeping into his voice. Markers of your ancestors' journeys, symbols of their triumphs and tragedies, Ragnar explained, voice layered with reverence. Each tells a part of the story that belongs to you. You have the power to shape how those tales continue. Jake and Mark exchanged a haunted look. This was more than just history, it was their very being woven into the fabric of time. Can we rewrite it? Jake asked, desperation bleeding into his words. Can we change what we're meant to be? Ragnar's piercing blue eyes softened. You can honor it or turn from it. But the weight of choice rests on your shoulders. Every decider creates waves, shaping the future. Mark knelt, placing his hand over the nearest symbol, feeling warmth spread through his fingers. I want to learn, he whispered. I want to understand this part of us. Before Jake could voice his reservations, an unnatural chill swept through the clearing, causing the tree's branches to shake and rustle like a warning bell. What was that? Jake's heart raced, instinct screaming for them to retreat. It's the forest's guardian, Ragnar said, his voice stern. It senses your doubts. The legacy you seek is not just treasure, it demands honesty, love, and sacrifice. The fog began to coalesce once again, rolling through the clearing, forming dark figures at the edges. Shadows danced along the periphery, and with them came echoes of voices long forgotten. Mark stood taller, emboldened. We're ready to face whatever this is. We can do this together, right, Jake? Jake felt the pull and pressure of his own hesitations lingering in his heart. I don't want to fail us. What if we're not strong enough? Strength comes in various forms, Ragnar interjected. Sometimes it's the quiet resolve to carry on, even when fear binds you. Embrace it. Speak your truth. Taking a deep breath, Jake stepped forward to make his stand. We choose to face our fears, to understand our past so we can shape our future. We will rise to this legacy. As the words tumbled from his lips, the shadows gathered closer, forming recognizable faces, ancestors he had only heard about in fragmented tales. Their eyes were filled with both pride and sorrow, urging him to continue down this path. The clearing pulsated with an essence he had never felt before, and just as it began to intensify, a single figure in the fog stepped clear, a woman, her features strikingly familiar. She smiled, but the sadness in her eyes pierced right through him. Who is she? Mark whispered, his voice trembling. I can't tell, Jake began, emotion choking him. With that smile, memories swirled, a grandmother's laughter, an unspoken connection. The air buzzed with significance. Your own heart knows, Ragnar murmured, confidence shimmering in his tone. But will you allow the truth to uncover what it means? Hope hung in the air, tethered by unresolved questions. What other revelations lay hidden in this unveiled legacy? Jake could feel the weight of this moment, both daunting and exhilarating. What if everything he believed about himself was about to be challenged, and what if the woman held the key to their future? As Jake stood frozen in place, his heart raced with a whirlwind of emotions. The woman's presence felt magnetic, a blend of nostalgia and unfamiliarity that drew him closer. The whispers around them grew louder, echoing his own inner questions like a chorus urging him to look deeper, to see beyond the veil of time. He glanced at Mark, whose eyes were wide with recognition, both thrilled and apprehensive. Is she one of our ancestors? Mark asked, his voice a mere breath. Jake nodded, struck by the gravity of their situation. It was as if they had stepped right into the pages of their family's history, standing face to face with someone who could illuminate the uncharted territories of their lineage. But why now? What does she want from us? The woman stepped forward, her features becoming sharper. I am Ethel, your great-grandmother, she said softly, her voice carrying a warmth that flickered with sadness. I have watched over you, as all of our ancestors have, hoping you would seek out your truth. Jake's heart swelled, tears brimming in his eyes as an overwhelming sense of connection washed over him. We've been lost for so long, he admitted, feeling emboldened by her gaze. Can you help us find our way? Ethel smiled, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. The path you tread is yours alone. But I can guide you. For within your hearts lies the strength of generations. It is time to unearth the stories, the joys and sorrows that bind you to me and to each other. Mark shifted anxiously at Jake's side. What do we need to do? Embrace the intertwined legacies of your blood. With every truth you uncover, you will honor not just me, but all who came before you. But beware, the past does not merely awaken shadows, it reveals truths you may not want to face, Ethel cautioned, her expression turning serious as leaves rustled ominously around them. The fog shifted again, the air thick with tension. Jake clenched his fists, determined. Whatever it is, we can handle it. Together. Ethel nodded, respect lingering in her gaze. Then hold on to each other fiercely. The journey leads you to a sacred site, one that has the power to reveal what you seek. Follow the symbols to the heart of the valley. With that, Ethel's image began to shimmer, fading into the mist, but her voice lingered, weaving through the air. You are never alone. The strength of your family flows within you. Jake looked at Mark, and he felt an awakening, a renewed spirit bolstered by their ancestors' lingering presence. Let us find that sacred site, he said firmly, determination blossoming in his chest. They turned back to Ragnar, who nodded, sensing their resolve. Follow me, and trust in the journey, he instructed, leading them deeper into the forest, where the path became etched with newfound symbols. The trees seemed to whisper encouragement, their trunks sturdy and resolute. With each step, Jake felt the energy of his lineage coiling around him, guiding him forward. They reached a clearing where two monumental trees stood apart, their massive branches making a natural arch. Underneath lay a stone altar, worn yet powerful, pulsating with history. This is it, Ragnar said, his voice low. Place your hands on the altar and speak your truth. Jake stepped up first, placing his palms against the cool stone. I see the shadows of my past, he began, emotions flooding through him. But I choose to break the cycles of hurt. I want to honor my family by forging a new path, a path of love and strength. Mark joined him, hands pressed beside Jake's. I, too, commit to this journey. We are not just brothers of blood, we are brothers in spirit, ready to face what lies ahead. At their touch, the altar trembled, sending a surge of warmth through their veins. A sudden illumination filled the clearing, swirling lights emerging that formed images, flashes of memories long past, dreams celebrated, burdens borne, and the tears yet shed. As the light danced around them, a voice rose above the thrumming environment. You hold the power to face the darkness and cherish the light. Embrace both as part of your legacy. Forge onward with courage. Magic seeped through their skin, connecting them with their history, drawing strength from their ancestry. Jake felt clarity amid the chaos. They were not merely uncovering secrets, they were weaving their own story into the tapestry of time. The images faded, leaving a profound silence that felt sacred in its embrace. The fog had lifted, the way ahead more apparent. Jake and Mark exchanged a glance, light flickering in their eyes. The fear subsided, replaced with a shared understanding. Whatever happens next, we face it united, Jake said, relief flooding his heart. Together, Mark affirmed, enthusiasm shining through. Together, they stepped away from the altar, the burdens of their past feeling lighter, the shadows of fear retreating. They would honor their ancestors but find their own way forward. Ragnar smiled, pride twinkling in his eyes. You've accepted both the challenge and the honor of your heritage. The journey is far from over, but you are no longer alone. As they prepared to leave the clearing, a sense of peace settled over them. They were ready to shape their future, to carry the legacies of their family forward. Jake looked up at the sky, sunlight breaking through the trees. It was a new dawn, not just for them, but for the stories of those who came before, and for the first time, they felt the weight of hope as they emerged to face a future full of promise. Now, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next incredible stories we have in store for you. If you're inspired by Jake and Mark's journey, leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your thoughts on this heartfelt transformation. How does it resonate with you? And for those who need to hear this message, share this video with at least 5 friends. Don't wait not even one more second. Join us in creating a community that understands the value of every story, and keep the spirit of family alive.